Bingo.
Team effort.
Actually got a salt.
IT consultant.
All right, we start the meeting at whatever it is, 6, yeah, 6:11. Mr. Road Foreman's report.
Being winter time, we don't give off a lot to tell you about,
You don't get a report.
These things are going really well, the trucks are all holding up.
but I wanted the grader today and,
What's that?
couldn't start it.
Couldn't start it?
Couldn't start it.
Okay.
When's the last time it ran?
Wasn't that long ago, but we, but it,
That cold.
but that cold weather and, so it, ruined.
Was it plugged in?
No,
Oh,
but the battery turned junk in it.
Really?
And well, it's 5 years old, it's made, but, that's so everybody. Apparently, these are huge batteries
Yeah.
and you can buy a 1,000 crank battery for $300. Or you can buy the one that belongs in it, that's 1,400
Yikes.
crank.
Oh, 1400.
I'll get the 14.
And, but those are $450, but I ordered the ones that belong in it.
Yeah.
And,
There's two.
there's 2 of them. But they're $450 a piece.
Yeah,
so you-
don't make no difference, you know.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm just, so when you see a bill, you'll know what it was.
You're probably gonna have it for all that computerization and all that crap.
Yeah,
And so, but I wanted it today and we went to use it and he didn't want to stop. And,
You said about right as far as you get 5 years out of them and then they're done.
no, that's pretty good.
actually, it's pretty darn good to get that out of a commercial battery.
Yeah.
And so, I think so she lasted longer than I would expect. But, like Larry's truck, we've been having a terrible time with the lights on the back of it. And I decided I'd look at it myself today and see just what we could do. And I took the cover off where all the connections are made there and this and that. And you know, those people have never tightened down one friggin' screw in there. And when I took the cover off, 2 of the nuts fell out on the ground. And so I said, well, geez, the heck? And then I reached up there and you turn them all over your finger.
Wow. Wow.
And I got all that tightened down and now the lights are working.
Really?
But we've replaced a few and this and that. Because of bad ground and this and that, it ruined them.
Yeah.
I did talk to them today, but I'm kind of hoping that they will acknowledge that, they goofed and that they at least owe us the backup lights on that truck. Not I'm gonna say we can get them,
Yeah,
that, cause I mean, we've done a couple of strobes because they burned out,
what was that, what kind of body was that,
Viking.
Viking? This is beside the point, but I see Reggie Magnet the other day, the mechanic up there in and they just got a Viking and he hates it, he hates chain set up and
It's, if you use Tenco like we have used Tenco
They
all
always have
the
to.
time. And those, when that body comes up, at the first place it has power enough to lift it up. And when it comes up, the stuff will fall on the chain and it will run. Larry's truck has been constantly hanging because, well, Tenco body runs a chain this wide for one. And
Yeah.
the one in the this body is actually this wide. But they got a heavy duty plate that runs down through here. It hides most of that chain over there.
Mhm.
I've threatened the idea of taking torch and getting rid of some of that so that we could get it to thing to come down and
Does it just fly down at once and then bridge or something?
Well, it won't slide or it bridges, cause it won't, ain't a wide enough span for it to actually
all drop in there.
top, it will just kind of bridge over instead of, because, like I said, in an area like that, it's harder to get it to bridge than
Right.
an area this wide to get it to bridge.
What street?
He
What's bridging?
Just
put
with
it
a,
over a river.
With the chain, the chain will go underneath the can instead of letting the sand fall into it.
creates a little hollow underneath, it just won't fall down.
And he also told me that he had an awful time with Tenco down in New Hampshire getting stuff. So he calls over to New York now, and he said that guy over there knows all that stuff right in his head. He just called him up and says, I want this and that, and the guy said, yep.
Well, the reason we got this bike in is because when Tenco left Barry, they down there were pissed off because they didn't wanna do. Like, I mean, they didn't wanna do their ambulance and this and that, and still have to do the MGs, and then have to do Tenco too. So they were upset about that, and that's why you couldn't really do business
Yeah.
with them. And, the people out in, I think it's Syracuse?
Challenger?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Okay.
But, them people out there, they, were pretty rich with their prices, and that's why we wound up with the bike in the first place. And, cause number one is, you gotta go to Concord to do anything with, HP Fairfield, you gotta go to wherever it is out there to them. And, so Burlington at that point was
Well,
cheaper and closer.
he was just saying if he wanted stuff for the Tenco, he said the guys out in New York.
Oh, they're
Usually
really good. I
have
call them up and they know what you want and they will get it out to you. But now the salesman down there, I guess they're getting kind of used to it now. But, down there, I guess it's Hopton,
Oh, yeah.
they are getting a little bit better as far as feeling that they can do Tenco bodies. And the salesman was telling me the other day that their prices have come down to almost match what the Everest and the Viking are selling for. And so I said, well, maybe the next truck, we'll go back to what we really do like.
So what's the new truck gonna have on the Viking?
I'm gonna have a Viking on it, but I have hopes that the difference will be if it's a 10-foot body and not a 14-foot body.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping the difference will be that he can live with it a lot nicer than we're having with this one here.
Right.
Cause, the MG body came with a wide, from ton truck, came with a nice wide chain, and that body worked beautiful. And don't you know, the Tenco body that's on this ton truck today, is that little thing that's J wide, and, even with that rig, we have trouble bridging.
Always something.
Where's Viking now? Where do we go for Viking?
Yeah, Vermont.
Burlington,
What was this other place? Where?
Hopkinton. Down in the deep south of New Hampshire.
I'll tell you, I took a ride down there the other day to get some parts and, it was almost hairy. We left here, everything was beautiful down there, those cars going everywhere off the road. They just experienced some freezing rain down there.
Now, while we're in Syracuse. Did we have a tractor that went out there
We
once?
used to have a water truck.
What tractor?
Well, it hasn't started going back together yet,
Really?
no.
I can't believe that.
Well, I believed it would be almost together, but then I was talking with him the other day, thinking, well, You should be able to tell me that thing's coming home really soon, right? They said, well, to be honest with you, we discovered that we needed one more part.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And it wouldn't be, that wouldn't be shipped to us until the 20th.
So it'll be March, by the time we get it back, if we're lucky.
Hopefully we've got time to mow,
Wow.
but anyways, that is the story on that one.
When did it leave here?
What,
May, wasn't it?
May.
2023?
Yeah,
Wow.
but I don't have an awful lot, sand is probably a third gone, but,
Is that good?
I would think that's probably pretty much on the money. And,
You had one thaw already.
and we've been, that last thaw I thought would be a doozy, cause it just kept hanging on, but we really lucked because it really didn't mess up too many places. There's still a few little ruts out there here and there that I don't feel that we can probably chase them down, honestly, and, so, we ain't done anything with those little things, but the big ones, we filled them because they were just way too dangerous for.
Oh, another thing I was gonna tell you. Tony Brown's logging back my house. And he's coming out the snow machine trail into my brother's for a landing, so just. I mean, he ain't gonna plug you guys up or nothing, but just so you know.
That reminds me of, I was talking to Gary this morning about a snow machine trail coming on to the Dickaman. And, if they do what they say they do, I think we will have no problems with any of it. I think in the long run, it will be safer because it's a much shorter run to get back off to town road. And they're still headed in the same direction they always have been headed, but they don't have to go near as far up through the road to get back out in the trail. So I think it's gonna be all right. I was concerned about it being so steep down in there, but they tell me that they're gonna fill out a platform. So even when the groomer comes along, it will be flat going before it will come onto the road, so.
So they won't be jumping into the.
So this is a different bypass than they've used in the past?
Yeah, they went up the road another half mile before they crossed out of there, and this brings it way back down towards Larry's.
Things don't change, or ain't gonna worry about it anyway.
Well,
You went out in the woods there where Tony's working, Christ, the ground just barely wood.
Right,
well, it ain't much more than that.
No.
And my ditches are,
You can't,
if the water keeps flowing, which that's one good thing about things being really dry. The water ain't flowing much, but if it was flowing, the ice would be a terrible mess.
still could
you're
be.
gonna have to talk to your nephew about plowing too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's he doing?
Like, pushed a big pile of mud right up into the middle of the corner there.
The mud?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was kinda just sitting there.
Just waiting for Thomas in the spring.
Waiting for Thomas.
I know that can happen.
Never done before.
Well, it's not the mud, but he pushed the corner kind of backwards. He pushed it into the corner instead of coming up for him.
And
And he does it different every time. Someday he's gonna light on to what works good, but
I know.
it kind of bent the road sign over there,
This right at the bottom of your house?
right at the intersection.
Yeah. Where they come up out of dugout and.
Yeah.
I'll ask him.
Yeah.
Maybe clean that up a little. But,
Well, I don't think he got any direction, so they probably just sent him up there, so. You know, cause he used to come up. And go right through around the culvert and then to my field. And. You know, that was all good, but now he kinda goes up and backs up and pushes and.
now, he actually got the plow on front when he does that?
Yep.
We have pondered the idea that the new truck, we should leave the wing off of it. And we've been pondering the idea of putting a 12-foot plow on it. And do away with the wing situation due to the fact that apparently he doesn't really like the wing any, you know. Expect if something like that was to work good, then why buy a wing?
Right,
We're still pondering the idea if that's
And-
gonna be a good idea.
you don't really need a wing like you used to. When you used to have a lot of snow.
Well, yeah, I know, but like my truck still needs a wing, cause when I come around Floyd
Right.
Young's corner, I'm wallowing in the mud. I mean, the snow, because the plow is out here and the truck's back here, and the
Yeah.
truck's cutting here and the plow's cutting
Right.
there. I still need a wing for a lot of mine, and I personally think he could use one, but it's but I think that, one situation is that we have all wings on the other truck, so I expect that one truck. We can follow around at some other point, wing it back, if that's what we want.
Well, so Larry did the other day when he sanded up around, he just put the wing down.
Yeah, and so it might be good, I just running it by it to see. Cause the 12-foot wing, plow might. Cause I've measured up the truck there and, you know, it gives you 2 foot out here. That might be all it really needs to keep it clear.
Right.
I worry a little bit about the road and the car coming towards me.
Right,
I worry about that a little bit, but technically, if he whips it all around, it's only 6 more
Yeah.
inches. Most of the cars get by me within a couple of feet of difference, so.
What's that,
might not
8
be.
plow, 10 foot, what are you, when you're using a wing?
When I use the wing, we have 11-foot plow. 10s didn't work, 'cause we had one of those, and those was hardly wider than the truck when it's turned sideways.
Yeah.
Right,
That's about all I have to,
all right,
kind of share with you.
Did we have questions about the loader or just thinking of
just a
that?
time frame and when do you want a new loader or whatever. More particulars about that.
Well, I think we're gonna actually try out a loader, just for the simple reason that they have the time to bring it to us now. I think we're gonna try out a loader in the next 2 weeks. A month soon.
Mhm.
And, it's a hydrostatic loader. They say they came a long ways with them and they, are, that's what Rock Rutland runs all the time.
The quarry has them.
Yes.
They seem to like theirs, they've used it, they've been that way for years. And so, I said, what the heck? Cause he thinks he can give us a good deal, so that's kind of what we want. Myself, the loader. It's iffy. It's a no big rush and it blows up,
Mhm.
then what do we tell, you know, and so I don't wanna be. I don't really wanna be caught with a bad motor because I decided that I'll just keep mine. You know, and so I don't know what to tell you about that. I think probably she's of age where you've got to put you know, price of tires today, because we haven't done it yet. We're probably talking $9,000 for tires underneath that thing.
Right.
And, the ride control quit working today and, but I think that was just a simple busted wire, and I think I didn't talk with the boys after we found what it was. I think we found what it was, I talked to them about, did that solve it? But, I just, you know, these little things might just creeping up, and what do you do? I really don't wanna put them over and just so you can trade it.
Right, well, we were talking last time about scheduling it, so we had enough money to pay for it. And I can't remember what we came to.
We haven't totally paid for the dump truck, right? Any,
Correct, we haven't paid for any of that yet.
when's that arriving?
I was trying to call the man and see what he's telling me for a date today, but,
Right after the tractor.
but I don't know, cause like I told that salesman, probably don't need to really keep calling me every day, see when we're gonna do something. You might start like July 1st, give me a call and, we'll see what we have decided.
And that's what, that's a 6-wheeler, 4-wheel drive, or that's a 10-wheeler?
Six,
It's a 6 4-wheel drive.
I was talking about the loader, maybe,
Right, no, but the truck that's on it, that we ordered, right?
right,
I'm guessing you're not gonna see the truck until probably around September.
Really?
a long time.
I'm very disappointed because the whole deal was set up with, you know, the truck's coming.
Yeah.
And this is like, well, it's getting on towards 2 years ago now. You know the truck's coming, I want you to schedule me in now. And so when the truck actually drives into the yard, we can drive it to you. Oh, yeah, we can do that. Well, didn't happen like they said it would.
Sure, across the board.
But
Yeah.
some of these loaders though are like ready to go, right? They're like on the lot. You don't need to do a 2-year out.
If we bought a case, there's one on the lot. If we were to buy one of these, he thought it would probably take somewhere of 2 months to get one.
Okay.
And so that was gonna be, because they're not quite like these rigs here. They're all made the same way and they just keep putting them on together.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to get the whiteboard in here some night and go through and make a new schedule on when
I think
trucks need to be replaced.
that's a good idea,
It seems like,
cause, I know several towns are talking about trading trucks faster. For the simple reason of all electronics and, emissions and stuff seems to go to hell, even though the truck's all right. I
right,
mean,
Well, no, it's like when we started trading Thomas's truck. We knew it was time, and we thought it'd be much faster time.
Yeah.
And, lots of things happen in 2 years, 2.5 years.
oh yeah,
They get
yeah,
expensive usually.
But with that, with loader, I don't think you're waiting very long.
Yeah.
At least it did sound it. That's, like the case would have sold us one yesterday, they had one setting.
Yeah.
But they have another one scheduled to come in around July. And, so I said, well, I think we realistically ought to be talking more in that time frame of thinking about it.
yeah. All right, that's all you got.
I think that probably, that about does it up.
All right, well, thanks for attending.
Yep, you're welcome. That's y'all.
Yep.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, approve final budget numbers. How goes Becky? Is that why you're here?
I have one. All right. So. Pretty much what we decided though at our.
Mhm.
So. That would be. For the general fund. It would be a total expense of. $866,661, of which. $517,946 will be raised by tax.
Now. It's I think you told us, but is that up, down, or
It's up
Oh.
by a little more than 3%. 3.0.
up by 3%?
The whole thing or the other?
The one that needs to be raised by taxes. The amount that we need to raise by taxes is up by 3%.
Why is this general?
Yes.
The total expenses are up by about 9.29%.
And what do you got on road?
On highway. The total expenses is $1,262,995 for expenses, of which $1,115,645 would need to be raised by taxes.
115?
$1,115,645.
And what's that? Going up, down?
That's definitely up. There's no down right now.
I knew that. I was trying to-
That's the thing. I have that the total budget is up by 4.69, but for some reason I didn't do the math for what that increase is for the.
4.69 total.
For highway?
You should just say 4.70% increase in the total budget.
For total,
Just for highway or the?
no, for total.
For the revenue, the total expenses for highway is up by 4%.
Okay.
Oh, that was hard for my brain.
With them compared to last year. That's the last year.
Yes. Unfortunately, it's just been a steady increase because, well, that's pretty much how it's been going.
You said with general, what was that? It was like 3 and one was 3%, one was 9. What was-
Yeah. The total expenses are up by 9.29%.
What was that?
The total expenses,
Yeah.
9.29%.
What that represented in revenue. About 3%.
So the 3% is what property tax went up. So that's
To
how-
cover that.
Yeah.
And we don't have that number now for highway.
Hold on, the percent increase,
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't do like that.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Good.
They're all healthy.
Good.
But more to have.
Um,
Besides avian flu.
Haven't been tested for that.
You haven't?
No.
You were asking the other day.
Duncan said Ethan Small had scours.
Apparently I lied.
Oh. Tell us the truth.
The property tax for is the 4.69. I just have it next to the total.
It's on highway.
Mm,
That total or for highway?
So just for highway, the increase in property tax is 4.69%. And then the total increase for the highway itself. Figure out what the formula is for that. It's copy and paper.
Have you written your treasurer's report for the auditors?
Why rush into it?
I guess there is.
You pull me in the mouth now.
Yes. I think tomorrow's the deadline.
So ours is all done. Is it getting closer?
He was gonna go.
Oh,
I will stop.
yeah. Do it shorthand now.
Yeah.
Not impact.
Yeah, that's what I do anyway.
But two-handed though. Right?
Yeah.
What difference that make?
I am getting so I can do it two-handed.
Yeah.
Can you slide that cheese back toward me again?
I always wondered
Oh, I think I
when they asked me if I'm gonna take plates already,
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's handy.
cause there's a bunch of girls in there, and then, so then there's a bunch of girls.
what's wrong with you?
Well, that was then.
Sixth grade.
Yeah.
You're only gonna do.
Yeah.
Total highway budget is up 4.29%.
The highway or everything?
Over last year. And are those apples to apples, so, no, they're percentages. So if we look at the total, because property tax is paying for both of these,
Yeah,
what's the big town total for both funds?
if you add those together,
Yeah,
3.02. 4.70. 7.72.
What's that?
7.72
That's total.
total.
but when you add the percentages together, that doesn't make sense.
No. Wouldn't it? And not just. One up by that amount percent, and then one up by that amount percent, that means that.
I would think you'd add them together and then divide them too. Yeah, I think.
No, cause you got a different
You the
percentage.
average of the two. I mean, I can add them both together.
you got 1.2 million
Well, I
again.
wonder if you
Add the whole thing.
If you take
To a total.
last year's total
Yeah.
and
Right.
this year's total, and then take a percentage from that.
Right. That's a true way to do it.
Well, what the budgets are up for the total of what we want to pay in taxes, just so I'm.
We want to pay less.
You know, I pay tax.
Find a smaller number.
Okay. Rephrase your question.
Well, we want both of those at some point, but. One at a time. Then the school. The deal.
Have you heard anything about the school? I mean,
Is not
It's
looking
just
good.
all the talk, but
You know,
Is that good that they didn't? Get a new speaker in? For the house,
oh, no, I wanted her. But a lot of Republicans voted for the Democratic speaker, which is
Really?
unusual.
yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that was odd.
I thought it was quite a difference in the voting
Some backroom deals were going on.
No way,
Imagine that.
not in our legislature. You know, the whole talk beforehand, it sounded like she had a chance.
I think she
I'm
did.
thinking her name now,
It was
um,
very, very close from their own count.
Right.
And
but then they got a
2
blowout,
days, yeah, in 2 days, it
a lot of arm twisting.
completely, a lot of flip flopping going on.
So that was the first 2 days been. In the
Mostly just ceremonial stuff, like
Yeah.
the governor's speech and all the swearing. So
when you get down to work,
even today, we had sexual harassment training, and then there was a caucus, and then we had to meet just all the heads of the 6 divisions of Agency of Ag,
Mhm.
and Anson came in. And then we were done because there was a chair and vice chair, chairs and vice chairs training.
Yeah.
So they went off, and that was it.
yeah,
It's that kind of stuff. The first 2 weeks are like this, like you have to meet all the players and it gets going slow. Plus, it's the start of a new biennium, so
Right.
it's not that, like, this time next year,
you can't just pick up where you left off.
people will be starting to panic because if your bill isn't gonna
Yeah.
advance, it's dead. You have to start all over again.
Mhm.
Whereas now people are like, oh, we got 2 years to pass it.
We're gonna wait till the last minute.
Yeah. But I think they're gonna, in 2 weeks, be like, we found the education funding formula. We all agree on it, let's go with it.
It amazes me, that annoys me, that they're just, all the talk I hear on the radio and stuff is they gotta figure out a different way to pay for it, and it's like, but it's costing too much,
Yeah.
so you gotta figure out how to pay less.
Right.
And that seems to be the thing that,
yeah.
it's like, why are you not looking at that?
Yeah.
Why, it just boggles my mind,
Instead of trying to tax something else,
right,
cut it back.
right,
They, are talking, they had a meeting in Randolph. Oh, several weeks ago. And they had. My friend Gary Jarvis zoomed into it, his daughter told him to. And they were proposing different ways of cutting back. They had like 12 different scenarios.
Just
And-
in the Randolph supervisory.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And one of the scenarios was, closing Brookfield and putting, pre-K through
8, I think.
second or third or sixth or something down in Braintree.
Oh,
Yeah, it was like pre-K through 1 or something in Braintree, and then 2 through 6 in Randolph or something like that. And, my wife said, somebody come in the other day, said they were having a meeting that night in Brookfield about what they're gonna do, so. Cause they're gonna be cranky if they try to shut the school down.
yeah.
Alright. So, last year. The total budget between the 2 general fund and highway. This was last year, was 2,077,621. Of which we raised 1,568,330. This year. There's a total we need to raise of $2,129,656, of which 1,633 $1,591 will be raised in taxes. So. The total budget is
Just
a
wait,
2.5% increase.
wait, I thought you said
Yeah, but
2,770,000
No,
last year.
2,077,000.
Oh.
Oh,
2 and a 0.
Yeah, I hate when that.
Right, it's gonna say.
And I could have said it wrong because let me tell you, look at these big numbers sometimes, I was like, okay.
Okay, go on,
That makes
it
sense.
went up, how much?
2.5%
2.5%.
overall. And then the amount to be raised in taxes went up by 4.16%.
pretty close to inflation, isn't that? What's inflation running these days? The cost of living is
2.7.
what?
Cost of living was 2.5, wasn't it? Last year,
Have they not figured it this year?
I don't know, no, I didn't
You
look.
know, if there's a COLA,
The COLA, I know there is a COLA. No.
I hate to see it go up at all, but that's almost lookable. The way other things are going.
well, that's what I wish. You know, in schools, they should just level fund them for 2-3 years.
And it's still gonna go up, right?
But they
Well, they said
can't.
They were saying,
The estimate 6% this year already, but,
2.5 is COLA, what is inflation?
but they said something on radio, everybody, if it was level funded, it'd still go up like 5 or 6%.
because
just
they're
because-
baked in, like health insurance and salaries with the unions and, yeah.
Inflation is at 2.7.
Okay, very close, yeah. Well, that's good. Right there.
You have a document we signed for this stuff, or,
Don't you guys need to make a motion?
okay,
I'll make a motion, we accept the budget as it is right now.
Second that.
okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Can you get us final copies of that too, Becky?
Yeah.
Go over the time point that they tell me.
Yes,
Because all of the things like that we put in the budget, like something for delinquent taxes, right? So like this. Because if you do this blanket stuff, there's
Right.
not so much. Interesting thing for towns to experiment with, and I don't know if we've tried at the legislature, if you could even do it in Tunbridge, would be to have like a. Even like a 1-person housing authority or 3-person, whatever, as far as. Whether it was listers or realtors or whatever, just to sort of identify. You know, houses in town that are either empty. Or that, might. Be used, if they were commercial, but they might be able to be turned into. Apartments or whatever, just because there's such a shortage of housing, but they're always buildings that are empty.
I thought of that because there's so many Airbnbs now. How did that affect? Because there's gonna be thousands of them throughout the state where regular people aren't able to live.
Right, yeah.
And that might be part of our housing crunch.
Oh, for sure, it is big time. And they're not 100% capacity.
And I think after COVID, my wife's experience was that a lot of people sold their rentals as to just be dwellings.
Cause the price was
Because-
so good.
Because they got whacked so bad. Well, they got whacked so bad during COVID,
Oh,
and then the prices went up. Because, you know, people didn't have to pay their rent during the COVID. And then people were moving up here,
all the
so
refugees.
they just
right,
sold
over
it, instead of renting that house out, they just sold it.
there. So a lot of properties went, you know.
Yeah, that used to be
Or taken off
rentals,
the board,
yeah.
And mostly the second, you know, but a lot, the second home, you know, who just wanted that. I want to bank my second home in
Right.
Vermont, yeah.
Kind of a funny story, the people that bought Mike's house live in California. And out there, they don't have to heat their house. So guess what they're doing in Tunbridge?
Not heating the house.
Goes right up solid.
Ooh,
They didn't realize this.
No, and Mike, last year, Mike called the woman in December and said, you know, you haven't any heat in the house, cause he
Yeah.
had heated with a wood furnace. So she hired him, basically,
Stoke it all over.
yeah, I mean, he lived there, but he took care of it. So this past December, he said, you know, you still haven't any heat in the house, and she said, well, we're thinking about it. And so tomorrow there's gonna be. a
Time
guy-
waits for no one, yeah.
Tomorrow guy gonna come to look about, put a heat pump in there. But the door's open, so Mike and I went in and just looked around and shut the water off. So when it does thaw, it's gonna just blast everywhere, so
Yeah.
it could be worse, but
they have
Just
worried,
common sense stuff like that, like,
Right.
they weren't even panicking, like, oh my god, we gotta figure out a heat pump or some sorts of heat,
Right.
like, just to keep paying like or whatever, yeah.
and Mike offered to, even though he didn't wanna live there this year,
Right.
he offered to stoke the furnace.
Yeah,
It cost you this much a month, and I didn't do it.
they ain't worried about heat out there now, are they?
No,
Boy, oh,
yeah,
that's horrible.
yeah, sure is.
well, when you think 70-mile-an-hour winds blowing by.
I can't even imagine.
No,
Right,
that's-
They said that one thing I heard, they said firemen been on 25, 30, 35 years and never seen nothing.
yeah. Well, and Mike Sugarnarch he got a fan on it to make it burn hot,
Right,
and when he,
just like that.
when he stokes it, he shuts the fan off, and
Yes.
you can feel that sucker take right off,
Yeah.
man, once that air hits it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah, like a 30-mile-an-hour wind is
Yeah,
pretty fast, so.
Well,
That's like.
David-
approaching.
David, Rick said that. Well, yesterday, the day before, one day it was blowing pretty good, he said it got up 27 miles an hour.
You know,
That's pretty snappy breeze.
Right.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine that, 70 or 80.
100, yeah. Hey, come on in.
Man,
It better be your only grandson.
oh, that's right.
Favorite.
She's my favorite.
All right.
Right.
Unanimous.
He's yeah, the world's favorite.
Got your game.
We are supposed to,
Do the warning too, right?
do the warning. Problem is that I don't have the amount for the volunteer fire department. And I still have some questionable numbers for the appropriations. We have something out to Anessa to see if she has the correct numbers. There's gonna highlight, because I think we've not received, or she didn't receive a new appropriation for them.
So the carryovers.
So they're carryovers, and she doesn't know if she should take them out because they didn't ask again this year, or.
If they didn't ask, you know, put them in.
I don't know if they didn't ask.
Well, the question is, did they send their appropriation to Anissa, and Anissa didn't send it back? I think it's the current question.
Hmm,
So before we throw them out,
Right, we should find out.
we should find out if they actually asked.
That would be bad. If we were-
right.
We screwed up, sorry.
Yeah. Can always amend it at the meeting.
Right,
Well, I mean, one of them's like the Center for Independent Living is always put one in. Feel like the white,
Partnership.
no, this is the confusing one. This is the White River Natural Resource Conservancy.
What is that? That doesn't sound fun.
That was new last year, I think,
Oh.
I think the town threw it out because they didn't have a
Right.
thing, so they're just. Those questionable ones of, did they even try again, did they not?
Bill dog rescue. or whatever.
Yeah,
Well,
so what's the hard deadline now, though?
and this is what I don't know, I don't know if.
They may have met the deadline now even, and it's just on our end,
Right.
town's end.
I was gonna say, this is not normally my job, so I don't
Right.
actually know the answer to that. And I might have to work really hard to find those numbers for you, and then, you guys might wanna. Find me next week, this is it.
I guess that was my question, anyway, what's the hard number for us when we need to approve it so Nissa can get it or print it
I know Anissa needs it,
yesterday?
yeah.
Tomorrow. But he's not gonna get it all tomorrow.
Well, that's why she doesn't actually need it till 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, I don't know the answer, I don't know if we. Leave them in and then we can take them out at the meeting and say, we've already appropriate, like, changed this number. I think for the fire department in past years, we've said, shall the town appropriate a
This-
sum of money?
Right,
And we haven't been specific about it,
I
it's
think
been
about
what
it.
we've asked.
right, no, I think that's the way it's been done. And then Simon will stand up and say,
Yeah, and I
Hmm.
can certainly put that in there if we wanna do that, so you can sign something.
yeah, because we have the appropriation or whatever you call it for the fire department, for their equipment fund or whatever, and it's in
Yeah,
their budget.
that's built in our
But
budget.
here's, this is 2020, and it says, shall the town vote to appropriate 41,900 to support the vote? They probably have it, I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's.
I was gonna say, I think it's usually in their budget. And probably the budget is at, and this probably has it.
So we should either just have another meeting next week,
Mhm.
and in the meantime, get hard numbers for,
As long as the budget, as long as the deadline's okay, as long as we can do that.
What is?
or pass it pending. You know, those
Yeah, we can
changes.
do that. Like I said, might be more comfortable as long as we can, as long as it's okay to have a meeting like next Tuesday or something.
$30. Town meeting warning must be posted no more than 40, but no fewer than 30 days before town.
What's the printing deadline though?
So printing, so I think, and this is gonna put it all together this coming weekend, and then they'll review it themselves. And then they'll do it, so if you guys sign it and can get it to them by next week.
I'll be able to write a report before this weekend.
You want me to do it?
I'll be your pellet stove, and you write the report.
You're gonna hunt the fact.
Don't be short. It's looking good.
Sure. It's fine, just approve it.
Yeah.
They're like all calm toys, everything's going.
It's gonna get better too.
So, yeah,
Speaking of that,
And if you want,
let me
you
forget to
know,
tell you about
we get.
interview today that I
calls,
did
but
about sheriff's
let me know
department.
too, because I get. this is
You're
usually
interviewed.
all signed up,
No,
like,
about the sheriff's
I
department.
mean, you can definitely call them
What's the,
and double
The
check.
values.
oh,
And what are the,
Anyway,
do you have can you print out the appropriations, because
I'll print.
I could do some research on that, since Mariah's probably busy.
I think she was sending an email, she was in this morning. Just do things quickly.
how's she doing
She's doing really well, it was her
Good.
first day.
outside?
Yeah, moving around.
Good.
She has the cutest baby in the whole wide world.
Not possible.
For now.
Yeah.
She's dethroned, right?
Yeah.
Next cutest baby.
And then I put in the numbers. that we just talked about, for the highway and that.
Yeah.
And then somehow, I don't know whose job it is to figure out that, but. We gotta tighten something up to. Get everybody's
What was the
signatures.
deadline for appropriations? December.
Very early January.
So you know why, what the highlighting is, you don't.
So the highlighting is the ones that are not.
You don't know.
We don't know. Those are the ones that she wasn't sure of. And the fire department,
But you think maybe they've gotten back to Anissa?
they might have sent everything to Anissa, because sometimes they just send it in one file to one person. So they might have just sent it to Anissa. And Anissa did forward it back to Mariah.
You just sent Alyssa, Anissa, a note right now, because I'm sure she's sitting right by her computer.
Well, I have the email right in my seconds.
I can try. We'll see
We
if,
never get,
if anything comes
Right, and
back.
text her,
yeah.
how's your phone?
Something it's not, it's a little bit related to budgets. I was talking with Rodney this morning about, it bothers me that, like, we put up our gravel budget 25,000 this year. It bothers me anyway that we're spending 25,000 more than we spent, what, 25 or 50 last year. And I think we need a plan to try to figure out how to, if we're gonna spend it, we gotta spend it wisely, which we all intend to do anyway, but like I told him, maybe we can, those samples you brought by with the dust in them, we ought to stop buying dust.
Yes,
I mean, that,
Yeah. and that's why we should start getting our stuff from Lebanon and
Right.
Berry. Is because we would have more control of that.
right, but at least if we had a plan, we
Right.
can say no more, we can buy our 2-inch stone from McCullough's and our 5-inch stone and stuff, but no plant mix.
Because you buy it from Tuckers or McCullough's and you're getting dust.
Right,
Cause they don't have to pass it,
right,
anything,
right,
cause they just dump it.
but it just, I guess my point is that we're spending more and more money and we just,
Right.
we just keep doing it. And it's like, at some point, we aren't gonna be able to afford $400,000 or $500,000 a year for gravel.
No, I agree with you totally, I think. We ought to. Either, like you said. Buy our big stuff local,
Yeah.
but I think we're gonna have to truck in.
These
Right.
are the right numbers here, Becky? For now, for.
For now, yeah, those are the ones we just,
And also,
Because then, you know, Lebanon and Berry, if we ask them, they gotta give us a. You know, printout of that sieve test
yes, yeah,
and. Like Doniacs and. Tucker's in the business to sell stone,
right,
so. If it's a stone that goes through the crusher,
right,
no matter what it is,
Do they,
Or-
do they add the fines in after they crushed it, or?
no, it's what's,
It's just there.
part of it.
It's there.
it's what is left from
But
crushing.
those other plants do add a certain amount of. Of some binder, or it's just because they're just higher quality,
It's a higher quality stone,
so the
material.
the dust is higher quality.
And,
or there's less of
Right,
it.
yeah.
and sometimes they wash it, don't they?
Yeah,
So they
you
wash
can get
it.
wash sand
Right.
and stuff like that, yeah.
But I guess I just feel better if we had a real plan. We're only gonna be able to buy X amount of yards of this really good stuff with the money we have, so let's. And then have Rodney just say, well, we need it on this road, and this road, and this road, and. Cause we can't do all 70 miles of roads in one year for sure.
You know, Monarch, Dome, Kelsey Mountain.
Generally, yeah, start there. But it'd be interesting to see how the dump road is, out to the town
Yes,
garage
yes,
holds up this year.
And that coming off the blacktop on
Right.
the spring road.
Because if that holds up really nice, that'll give me a lot of courage to like, let's do it.
Less higher quality stuff.
Yeah,
And I think we should do that anyways, because theoretically, if we put on higher quality stuff, we will use less of it.
yeah,
You know, over the years,
Yes.
maybe not this year, but 10 years down the road.
and I'm thinking about when gasoline gets to be
Yeah,
$10 a gallon or
right.
something, we aren't gonna be able to afford to bring it from Lebanon.
Right.
And we ought to have our roads in good shape. At that point.
Yeah.
Just like,
Or if we do bring it up, we don't have to bring some up.
right. Anyway, that was my little interjection, man.
Wow. We ought to get out more.
I should, I got too much time to think.
What's our timeline? Doing Barnaby property and town meeting, we wanna do some due diligence and then just another business maybe float it out there to people, or
I think we should.
I feel like I'd wanna know more about the property. at this
Right.
point, too.
I wonder. I'll ask the Tanya. Who, if we could get somebody to
Yeah.
test the sand or something.
Yeah,
Or even if somebody came in and said, and people can do this, all that, just say, I think there's X amount of yards of material.
And,
Can't guarantee what it is.
well, Tanya told me that they can guess, but it's a guess unless you drill.
right,
And, but if you've got somebody in and they looked at the material and said,
Right,
wow, this looks good, and, you know, it probably goes back 300 yards. Or this is looking pretty bony, you probably got ledge right there, or something like that.
right.
Yeah, I'll try to ask him about that.
But also, I don't, we talked about it here, or someone else mentioned it, maybe instead of us buying the whole, potentially the whole thing and then subdividing, maybe the Barnaby's would like to subdivide,
Subdivide,
and then we can buy just what we want. Instead,
that's something else that, right, if we
We-
had your four options, right, and which should we sort of,
and, you know,
We
we
give
could like
direction to
pay for
pursue.
the survey or
Exactly, yeah,
something, so they
exactly.
wouldn't be out any money.
right, because I can see that would be a holdup, if all of a sudden $5,000, we haven't
Yeah.
got it, we can't do it.
Yeah, that makes more sense to me than us buying it. And then
doing a demo.
subdividing it,
Subdivide.
and then we gotta sell a junky house
Right,
and.
Yeah.
And. Cause we can get on the property anyways,
Right,
and through the town garage.
Right.
So we don't need a right of way or anything.
mhm,
well, that's something then, you know, you and I go and meet with Katie at some point.
yeah,
Just propose that.
Yeah. who has talked to Katie before, because I don't have her phone number or anything,
Mariah was the one
Okay.
that was
so I can call Mariah.
kind of in contact with her, I think.
Cause I'd like to have that. At least
Yeah, at least
packaged up
a
before
couple
town meeting,
answers.
yeah, so we can make a decent proposal to the
Right,
town.
just if we get even if it's not binding, but get a sense if people
Yeah.
Right.
go for it
Right.
or not. then
Well,
give
also,
us some.
don't wanna surprise people either, I don't wanna buy it and then all of a sudden people say, what the hell you buy that for?
But if it's, you know, financially makes sense,
Yeah,
I think that's an easier sell too.
but I think that, like you said, the key thing is to see if they would subdivide. Be willing to subdivide it, so we just buy what we need to buy and not have the hassles of,
Right.
Yeah,
Of all
the
that.
house.
right,
Or, you know, if someone like Matt or somebody was just like, what's just a demo, you know, and
yeah,
leaving it at a place where, you know, if there's, I don't know, if there's water and stuff, like, you know, what shape that is in, but you know, what's the budget even for that? I
Yeah.
don't know.
and Matt could just give us a year.
Exactly. What they do.
Yeah. It's probably got 10,000 old aluminum cans around there from Dick too, so.
think. We probably make a couple bucks on them.
for 20,000. So so I'll call Mariah about that.
Okay.
So PBS, WMD, HHW, that kind of that.
It's a hazardous waste thing.
Oh,
May 31st.
Oh,
It
okay.
says, clerk has to sign it, so I guess we just have to say it's okay to do it, so.
Sounds good to me. I make a motion that we approve CBSWMD HHW collection event.
What is HHW? My second motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Discussion.
Yeah, discussion. Well, discussion is,
Study.
Household hazardous waste.
Oh,
there you go,
there you go. Okay.
event. And they usually like to have a key to the town garage in case they have to use a bathroom, so if we get a portable up there, you won't have to do that.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think
We
we
should
ought
get in
to,
touch with Nick Howe and just see if we had a portable toilet there. What the yearly cost would be for it.
yeah, I think we ought to jump on that.
Okay, I can call Nick too.
I think we better jump on that and get that little mess taken care
For example, the rec department fence. Or at least the skating rink, and I think do they have one during softball season?
Yes, they do, yeah. Mike's got one, I didn't ask him what they charge.
Yeah, pretty reasonable.
Mike's got his camper in the shop now, my shop, and he's got the portable everything in with it.
of. Yeah, I would think if you run it all year round, you'd get a better deal.
Right, you do, yeah.
It's still like $100 a month or something, but
Yes.
Service thing.
Can we get a solar powered one maybe?
I hope so. All right, let me look at my,
Okay.
Every health manager's update. from there.
Ooh,
oh,
she's.
Mary Ann, you're right here anyway.
I'm
Would
here.
you like to do that,
I can, yes.
if you're not busy?
Yeah, no, just trying to do some work over here. Okay, I have a couple of things, but the first one, the big one I wanna talk about tonight is MERP. So just wanna make sure, that we all understand sort of some of the situation going on with MERP. MERP's end date is 12/31/26, so we have roughly 2 years to be done. That's everything tied up with a bow and reports submitted. So they say that work has to have started by 3/31/26. So we have about, let's call that 1 year. I'm gonna do
Yep.
using math for myself. We have 1 year to have the work started, otherwise they pull the funds back from us. You have to be substantially complete by 9/30 with proof that you will be done before 12/31/26. Two Rivers, though, is sending out emails sort of cautioning us all that it is likely that we're going to experience an issue with identifying contractors because however many towns in the state of Vermont all just got a big lump of money to go after people to do this work. So they're sort of saying like, you ought to get on it now. You should be out there trying to find your contractors and getting your bids and getting on somebody's agenda to, with some sort of date they're guaranteed they're gonna get started on you guys by.
Did money already come in and then there's a?
No, it's a reimbursement. Yeah. Or no, you know what? I actually might be making that up. I will have to read the answer to that. There's too many grants floating in my head right now.
It's not like a 90.
Most of them don't usually give us the money up front.
I was gonna
but-
say, I do not
Weird.
believe I have received any more money.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's not that way because I'm pretty sure there's a quarterly form that I have to fill out with the report. So I think we get reimbursed quarterly for this one, just like we do with some of the other ones, like the BRIC and the HMPG.
Do we have to have 3 quotes on each project?
Yep, because that's our
Yep.
requirement on how much money it's more than your limit. So there's that. We really should be moving forward with getting this out there.
And it's work described already in the grant, right?
Yes, that's already done, and Two Rivers is going to offer us the RFP template that
Oh,
they're
good.
creating for towns, so we'll have a pretty good template to send out there. The things I wanna make sure this group is aware of, though, is that, one, originally, there was a lot of sort of impression from Two Rivers that they would be able to be our quote-unquote project management. And now they're saying they have, they're maybe at capacity, maybe they can't do that for everybody. And that we should likely include that as part of the bid we want. So we're gonna be looking for someone to essentially be a general contractor and be willing to, if they have to bring in a separate company to do blown-in insulation, they're gonna schedule that person and they're gonna coordinate, et cetera. So there will be costs in this bucket of sort of like general contractor, which we put money in the grant for. But it might change the level of bidder that we need to look for. I don't know or not, this is really not my area of expertise, which is why I have a little bit of anxiety and I'm bringing it to you.
Could a bidder also be the general contractor?
Yes.
Essentially sub out.
That's what they're suggesting, is that we should try to get people to bid who recognize
Or
they're
just
responsible
us,
for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then they have to figure out who they're getting to do what pieces.
Well, it seems like anybody that builds a house, like RJ or somebody they're good at that anyway,
Hopefully, right? Yes.
or George White, I mean, there's
Right.
half
They're all
it.
general contractors.
You got to hire a concrete guy, you gotta
Right.
hire an electrician,
Right.
you gotta hire a roofer.
Well, that doesn't scare me so bad now.
Yeah,
That's allowed, and then there's, it's
absolutely.
not a budget buster because we put some money
We
in.
put money in there, right? And hopefully those people, my concern is those people, RJ's probably building a house and he's probably building houses for the next 3 years already,
For
like,
sure.
I don't know George, but don't know what his schedule looks like. Anyways, that's sort of one thing. We've got to get started on this work to get a contractor sort of
Right.
checkbox, you're ours, and you gotta be getting on this before 3/31, but the two other pieces that are making me a little bit nervous. I feel like you need a town liaison or town offices liaison or whatever you call, whatever your employees.
Project manager.
You need someone who's a liaison here, and that can't be me, cause I'm not here and not available enough to do this, but, cause your general contractor is probably gonna have to do things like. Say to all these guys, we have to turn your power off for 3 hours in the middle of the day to do
Mhm.
X.
Right.
And they need to know that, and they have a plan for, not just like, oh, hey Becky, sorry you were planning on doing work today, but we're turning the power off. Or if they need to get into the basement, they need to have like a way to get in here and do that. So anyways,
Somebody who works there then probably, right?
or someone who's local and can, but
Right.
be readily
Has
available
capacity.
to our
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. Tricky.
So I think we need to think about who that person is and
Yeah.
make sure that
Right,
that's,
right.
that role is available to our general contractor when we pick somebody. And then the other piece that's making me a little bit nervous, and maybe it'll be fine, because it sounds like maybe Mariah is doing a little bit, is like the RFP process is usually run by Mariah. So even if we get the template and I plug the stuff in, I don't know what to do with what I just created.
Right.
So I assume someone will know that process.
As far as putting things out to bid.
Like
getting
where
apples
you
to
put it out
apples.
to bid
Right,
and
yeah.
what the language is around, how long you have, and I think like once she got sealed envelopes, like is that a requirement? They have to be sealed? I don't
Right, yeah.
know, like. You have to give people a certain timeline that you're opening them and that
Right,
has to be
right.
published, like there's all this sort of like
Right,
legalese that goes around doing bids that I don't know anything about.
Right, like
So,
you publish it in the Herald or whatever, and it says all of that stuff
All
that
that
you just
stuff.
said, so.
okay.
and hopefully somebody like the league could help with that too.
Yeah.
If, Mariah can't do it, if someone like Bonnie, so that I can do it, but then have the league walk her
Walk
through
through
it, so you'd be like,
Right.
these are the things, so don't do this, right, yeah, don't. Be
Right,
having a private meeting to open the bids or whatever,
right, right.
Yeah, so that sounds like that's probably the easier one. I do think you have to think about who's gonna be the boots on the ground person here that's just interfacing with the general contractor that you end up selecting. And then I can continue to do the grant management, the reimbursement and the reporting, but I sort of can't be that person that's just not that, I'm just not that available.
And what did you just call that person who needs to be boots on the ground here?
I called it a town liaison, but that's just, I made that up. Like, a liaison, needs to be a liaison for this building, that
Yeah.
building, your work,
When the work goes on, yeah.
yeah.
Cause I think it'd be nice to have somebody that's maybe a retired contractor that knows about stuff like that anyway. It'd be really handy to make sure that things are being done. They're supposed to be done.
And scheduling that and then alerting these guys and then following up, hey, you were supposed to be here at 10 AM on
Right.
Tuesday, you didn't show up, or.
Right, yeah.
Was a
So-
guy on Whitney Hill, Nick Hall, I don't know if you know, Nick, man, can't talk.
Holly Hall's.
Yeah, he's not retired, but he's a contractor, he has, but he's kind of just taking care of their own properties and stuff now and raising the kids, so
Hmm.
maybe he'd be
Maybe
interested
you'd be interested.
for
Yeah.
part-time work or something,
Yeah.
so I can get hold of him.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I think that's, and the only other thing to think about there is just. You know, the amount that's. Let's see, where's my,
How do you spell liaison?
LIASON. So.
Very
Oh, maybe right, so-
Just to interrupt.
Oh, and
sorry,
I've written it doesn't look right.
So what's our sort of calendar in this? Because it sounds like Two Rivers hasn't even developed the RFP yet, so we can't put this out for bid until we have that, right?
Right, yeah, so they're sort of saying like you should get this going ASAP, and then they said we should have the template in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
I think that we should be looking at, you know, by the time we're at town meeting, I hope we have an RFP that we've been able to publish, and then maybe after you get through the craziness of town meeting, you select a
You're ready to
contractor.
go.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's great, cause I think we shouldn't wait any longer than that.
No.
Yeah.
that's a
And if we
pretty
could go
good
earlier,
timeline.
but you
Yeah.
know, like, I just don't know how busy you guys will
Okay.
be leading up to town meeting day, and I think we usually give the next 4 weeks or something, like you publish the
Yeah.
RFP for a
Right,
certain
okay.
number of weeks to give people time to
Right,
bid, so.
Right, and look at the projects too.
Yeah, so the only thing I'm a little bit nervous about there is that it looks like project support total is 20, 37, let's call that $38,000. Of that 255,411, 38 is your project support. So that's probably gonna be, you know, your contractor's gonna want some portion of that for managing all the subcontractors and doing their work.
Mhm.
And then if you're gonna pay a town liaison, so the money's small unless you choose to supplement it through some other, like from our projects fund, if you choose to supplement it.
How does the money side work too with something like this? Like, we've only got a finite amount in the grant. We have, you know, we've had sort of project ideas, which the sort of audit or whatever the estimate was based on.
Yes.
But then when a project, you know, a general contractor comes in and makes a bid, would they say like, in order actually to do all that stuff, it's gonna be 100,000 more than the grant is, or?
Yeah.
Will they say, well, we could do it up to this amount, but you're gonna have to drop these two things?
Right. Yeah, so that's, you know, that was one of the questions in the FAQ is like, you know, we put in, each one of the projects put in 10% contingency, but 10% could get eaten up really easy. It's
Yeah.
like nothing, it's 24,000. So, MERP's guidance is, these are the things you agreed to do, and this is the amount of money they agreed to give us. We're sort of supposed to do those things, and if we get our bids back and none of the bids come close, then we can tell MERP that we are reducing our scope. But what we can't do is swap in things that, you know, we can either do all of it or a portion of it.
Right.
But we can't say, well, since weatherization is gonna cost 43,000 in this one, instead of doing that, we're gonna do something else. We're gonna go get
Right.
a hot tub.
Right, yeah.
You know, like, we can't swap things in that weren't on here, but you can drop things off here, but
Cut it back.
within, yeah.
yeah, but it would be an amendment to the grant. So if we get to that step, then I actually have to formally contact them and say, we've been unable to achieve this dollar amount with through our bidding process, so we'd like to reduce our items we're going to take care of to this and stay within that dollar amount. Or you guys can say, everything on here is important and we're getting this much from the grant and I'm gonna, have the town fund the other 78,000
Right, yeah.
from some other bucket.
Mhm.
So if we get there, then we'll have to make some decisions
Right.
and they'll have
Yeah.
consequences depending on which way we go.
But the bidders also know the dollar amount in the grant.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't think they do and some of the things I think they don't.
Like they would,
There's that, yeah, I can see them just bidding up to it.
because then everybody would bid 275
Right,
thousand, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely a Mariah question, but I know at least one of them.
or if they ask, do we,
Again, like, I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know how that works. I don't know if you're allowed to tell them what we've gotten for grant dollars. I think.
It's public though, isn't it?
Oh, yeah,
They could
I
find it,
think so.
but I don't think you have to tell them that,
maybe, yeah,
if they wanna do the research and look it up.
right, yeah.
So, and then remember, not all of that 255 is for the weatherization for these two buildings. It included the solar array at 43,373. And we've pulled that off as a separate project that we wouldn't be asking the general contractor to bid on and subcontract, because Todd Tyson and then Kurt Mayland at the Vermont Law School, they've sort of taken that sub portion and they are running with
Right.
that. So they're aware they need to get 3 bids. We're meeting not this Friday, but the following Friday to walk, so I can walk them through like the process of the things they need to make sure they're getting me, so I can do the reports. So they will siphon that off and manage that portion in connection with me. But that will reduce this over, so then this comes down to like whatever that is, 222,000 for the weatherization for the 2 buildings. So that's gonna reduce the overall amount in addition. So. Anyways, I think we all need to be aware of these timelines, because they are pretty strict about pulling the money back, and we might struggle with getting a contractor who can fit us in.
Yes, that's the key, I think.
So that's MERP. What else did I want to tell you? FEMA, is anybody available at 11 this Friday for the FEMA closeout meeting?
I can't.
If you're not, it's fine. Rodney will be here, Brenda will be here, Becky and I will be here. So they asked if a select board member could attend. I said, I've checked.
Worst comes to worst, I can come over.
Okay. We didn't have a select board member at the opening meeting, so I think they requested that I ask. I asked,
We'd really like to, but we can't.
they're unavailable. And I did tell them, it's not like our select board, that you're not city officials who are paid to sit in this building all day and have other jobs, so.
We've been working on
You're paying to keep the health stuff going, it's a whole new job.
But I wanted to pull up for you real quick. I think I sent it to Becky. I sent it to Becky.
What did you send me?
I think I sent you the final, maybe I didn't send you the final numbers for FEMA. So let's see. It looks like our final reimbursement total, oh, sorry, that's not, I don't know if that's the case, but our final approved expenditures came to $517,029.15 across all of our projects. So that's what we've submitted for. FEMA. It's currently approved for the 90-10, so we would be reimbursed 90% of that. The thing that FEMA still hasn't gotten me an answer on is that for many months, it was 75-25,
Yeah.
and we were paid, a number of our projects were paid to us at the 75% already. So I don't know if we're gonna get another check at some point that sort of package up, or if it was like you were punished for having gotten done early.
Right.
I don't know. I assume they're gonna cut us another check for the difference between the 75 and the 90, but I've asked that and I haven't gotten an answer yet. And I think, Becky, we've received almost all of that, right? I mean, I believe the only one we have outstanding for payment is the Cat Z, which is the 24,620. So have we received close to $400,000, 300 something?
Hold on. Hold your breath for a second. Would have all been this year, right? Except for there's like 18 that fell in the
Yeah.
other year, right?
Yeah, I don't,
And that's, Patsy is for like administration.
administrative, yeah. So what did I say, 517?
Yep.
Okay. So we would have gotten all that. We should be in the high 300,000s.
But we got that bump up from 75 to 90. That'd be nice, because that's like $70,000.
Maybe another 70,000, yeah.
What have we got? Is Two Rivers suggesting, or recommending that we prioritize our sort of MERP list? In case it looks like there's not enough money, and we're like, well, out of the 7 projects, we should get to these 3 at least.
Yeah, no, because actually what are those things called, the reports from for the first round of, actually prioritize it for us.
Oh, okay.
They show which ones have the highest return on investment, so,
That's sort of done
the
already.
expectation would be you're doing those ones.
So this year, not including last year, we have $309,350.17
From FEMA.
from FEMA, and then
It's over 2 years, so.
last year I had another $10,719. That's close to what you said.
You said the highest 300 something.
Yeah, I thought, so we don't, it doesn't have the 24, but I would have thought it would be a little bit higher.
It's another 25 in your earlier email to me.
Oh, yes. That I have submitted, but I bet you haven't seen that.
No.
So there's 50,000 sitting out there.
370.
Okay, and then so that will get us into like the 360 zones.
Yeah. 70. And then hopefully we have another 70,000 on top of that, if they catch up the difference between the 75 share and the 90 share.
Is that something you can ask them at the vaccine meeting?
Yeah, I mean, I asked it 2 weeks ago at our check-in, and then I asked it again last week at my check-in, we have a new rep.
Yay! It's only what, number 7?
Dean,
We were so close, and we got a new
Stepping
rep.
stone position.
yes, so.
So the new rep is unsure and was going to check into it, and then I reminded her this week that she was going to check into that for me, so. We can ask again on Friday and see if she's learned.
The next meeting there, be like, I'm working for FEMA now.
You've been drawn in.
Exactly, 10 better.
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing.
I could handle that. So that one's
I
good.
think there's a reason why there's a high turnover in FEMA.
Alright, and then the last thing is just that, we have finally submitted our first reimbursement reports for the brick, which is the, this one's the safety corridor
All right, yeah.
one, and then, and I don't know if I have that, I sent that to Becky, let's see.
I was just looking at it, so for it is
And
8,000.
8,000, and then the HMPG, which is slide 2 on Stratford Road. We just submitted our first reimbursement, that'll be about 14,400. And then we are ready to submit the first Stratford Road slide 1 engineering costs. The contractor Sean, I'm getting Sean's last name. blanking, Sean. He confirmed the engineering portion is complete, so that'll be the 49,000, but I think those are 80/20s, so we would get 80% of the 49,000. So we're about to submit that one.
Is that total grant for 100,000?
No, that one was the 49,000.
Oh, okay.
The other grant that covers Stratford Road Slide 1 is 200,000,
Okay.
but that can't be submitted until all the construction is done.
I knew there were a lot.
Yes.
Like they're like.
249,000 for slide 1. I can't remember the total for slide 2, but it's not, slide 2 is not a lot, 73,000 maybe, because it's just scoping.
Oh.
It's not fixing. Slide 2, we anticipate to be very expensive to
Yes.
fix.
Really, you threw at the number of $1 million.
Yes. So we're trying to get the scoping document done so that we can apply for the implementation grant through HMPG, which is the one where we could ask for like $1 million. And that makes Becky very nervous because that will kick us into external audit range.
Yes.
That
Yes.
means we're single audit, which wouldn't be terrible, but yeah. Okay, great. What we have to pay for.
Just for that, or it's a type of audit we've never had to go
It
through,
is a type of audit we've never gone through.
but like Sullivan and Power could do it.
I think they can do it.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Or
if we have
expensive,
to.
it sounds like
It's just, yeah, it's gonna be expensive, but
traumatic for the treasurer.
no, actually, they are the nicest people, to be honest. They are so nice.
They'll help you out, Becky.
Yeah.
I know, but it's
Yeah.
They're like, you know, our first audit, that was a traumatic.
Yeah.
experience. That lady made me cry on a regular basis. Like I went home and thought about quitting so many times. Like, I'm not put up to do this. So I consider our current one, they're the nicest people ever, and I have not thought about quitting. They don't make me cry. You know,
The only type of audit.
but I actually talked to someone who uses our first auditing, and they also feel the same way. I was like, I went through that. I hear you.
And then the last thing on my list is, just, I don't think you may get these questions at a town meeting, but, people have been asking me, because however many years ago it was when I brought the reconciliation dollars for the, projects fund, formerly known as the ARPA fund. I believe at that time I said something like, have remaining over $200,000 because like this came through, and so we got to pull these expenses out, and the solar array had been in here, and we were able to pull that out, et cetera. So I think we still have $224,000 in the special projects fund. And I've been getting questions if we will run another series like we did before to say, are we sort of accepting requests for money for special projects, or has the select board earmarked those funds for something? And I've not answered the questions.
Mhm.
I would suggest that if we take applications for new funding, that we reserve some portion of that for MERP overage, because I think there's a real possibility of MERP
I'll
overage.
say, I think we ought to get through that first.
Yeah.
Before we spend a whole bunch on something else. In case it's way above.
Yes, and we know, because we know the solar array is already gonna be a little bit over, like there were increases there. I fully anticipate construction materials just gonna keep going up, and if we don't do the actual construction until summer of 26.
Right.
I don't know what that's gonna look like,
Right,
so,
another year down.
Some things like the electrical are not included in the MERP too, right? So.
no, the electrical was for one of them.
Yeah, part of it.
It was.
I think so.
Yes, let me see,
I think there's electrical for this one, but not.
Yes, town offices included an upgrade the electrical infrastructure at 15,000, and the town hall included upgrade electrical infrastructure for 20,000. Yeah, so those were both included here.
I was gonna say, I think maybe when we were trying to do it on the board.
Right.
We were gonna pull money from.
Right, yeah, because now we got the workplace. We can have it.
Yeah,
Like that other fund that I can't think of
yes.
currently.
And, you know, almost every one of the other projects always goes over. I mean, I've not seen a grant project come in under.
Yeah.
And usually, even the transportation ones, and usually it's fine because some of it is like our town crew and we were gonna pay them anyways. You know, so it's not like it's extra dollars, it's just dollars that they did this with instead of doing.
So if you
something
get
else.
wrong, they come in down mail.
That would actually save us a lot of money if we, as a town crew, go build this.
How much is in the fund, formerly known as ARPA?
It's hanging out with the artist finding
225 or
the
something?
sprints.
Yeah.
224, 393, 42.
Well, I think like,
Fine, I
that's
got-
something I should put in the town report, that is. Like, I think we should put the brakes on people thinking, oh, a whole new bunch
Yeah.
of projects, because I think we need to get through these.
So these are cautious, yeah.
Yeah. And some of that we might use, for example, for the Jim Barbie,
Yes, exactly, yeah.
you know,
Those are my updates and my questions and my cautions and my anxieties. Thank you for the therapy session.
Well, good work.
Any
Yeah.
questions for me?
Yeah.
just let us know when, I guess, Two Rivers has got their
When they're ready to go.
RFP ready to go, so.
Yeah, and that should be pretty easy to create, and then it'll just be a matter of getting it posted,
Right.
so. And maybe Mariah will be looking for an excuse to escape 3 children, and she'll wanna pop down for 15 minutes and tell me how to do it.
I bet she will. I mean, not necessarily escape, but just you'd be willing to come in.
Is there anything I haven't updated you on that you're wondering what I'm doing?
We don't know, because we don't know what you're doing.
How long does our municipal contract on with you, Mary?
18 month old.
One more year?
You're really good.
So, tricky question. Because,
How long we have Mary Ann before we should essentially have to, like, she's like a free agent in sports.
I know.
We have to re-up her contract there.
Well,
yeah, so you didn't actually give me a contract to employ me
it's a lifelong
as an
contract.
employee.
With 3 years funding.
With 3 years funding, and then at the last meeting I was at, you instructed Becky to earmark the 25,000 that comes in from FEMA for the administrative costs to cover another year, so now you have another year, so I think you have 2 years left, Becky, is that right? In the,
Thank you.
What's your start date? Start date?
when did I start? September of 22? Or,
Close to the fiscal year?
I was gonna say, yeah. I used to do-
I think it was September of 22. We're like 2.5 years in.
We talked about 3 years.
And the ARPA, formerly known as ARPA funds, would have covered 3 years. You allocated 3 years of that.
Yeah.
So that would have gotten us to September of 25. And then the additional FEMA money gets you to September of 26, so that's how you covered it in the current budget, was
Right.
not.
Okay, so September.
You gotta just keep doing it. As long as you can
I've
stand it.
already said that,
Yeah,
like it is now a town position. We have enough grants that. Put money towards. Administration that, you know.
right.
I have no interest in doing it for any other town, I will say that, simply because it's super convenient to be able to stop here.
Right.
To and from my home kind of thing, it's not, and I have a day job, so. I'm not looking for another.
You gotta keep living in Tunbridge and you gotta keep your horse on Monarch
That's
Hill.
right. It's a very convenient.
Tell people
location.
that. They
they want you to move to Pacific Palisades.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't think my husband would go for that, so. All right, thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you. Doesn't do it well.
It's a fact.
I am just super excited that after Friday, we can stop meeting with FEMA.
Yeah.
It'll be a hallelujah moment.
It'll be a super hallelujah moment.
Actually, if we ever have another FEMA thing, we will be much better. Here, so. It'll still be a cluster because there is still that. I don't think that's what's up.
Well, and actually, and I've learned that like, I guess now that we know, we can be much more forceful, so if we end up with a rep that like, it just doesn't seem to know what the heck they're doing. I can just request a new one and like just say, this one is not working for us, we need a new one. And-
Wow,
So,
Yeah, so apparently that is actually a thing that I didn't know about,
yeah.
right?
We can return a rep.
we can return a rep.
They have a return a rep program.
And we would have returned a number of them,
Yeah.
but they turned over before we could return them. so-
Yeah, so.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Other business.
Oh, I called Earl Silhouette and
Oh, good.
Oh,
and got him, and he said he'd be happy to give us a quote that we got him steps. So he just said, tell me how,
We
you know,
custom build one.
yeah, how big the door's supposed to be, do you want windows,
Yeah.
all that stuff. We should do that.
We get a rough estimate of the cost.
He did. He said, but we should probably, you know, have a rough estimate of
Right.
how, you know, is it 10 by 10, 12 by 12?
Yeah.
whatever it is.
I asked Rodney today about the shape of the building, because I had never looked at it. He said it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I really think we ought to replace it.
Should we get on the porta potty thing? Right on.
I'm gonna call Nick tomorrow.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, I'm sorry.
But like that shack at the dump, I mean, my idea,
We wanna essentially the same, but just,
but just leave one wall out of it, so we could cut the wall out of the old one, where all the electrical stuff is. Or do something, but if Earl knew how to custom make it, he would,
right,
because it would just, it'd be awful to have to switch that on to a new building, but maybe that's the best way to do it, I don't know.
is it just essentially screwed into the wall of the thing?
I
or-
think so, but there's a box here and a switch here and there's all this other stuff. But I guess we gotta look it over first before we make up our mind,
Yeah,
but.
or somebody, right, I mean, the electrician or somebody might be able to.
Right.
Working with, you know, my cat or somebody might be able to just say like, well, these 3 lag bolts come out, you just put
Right.
in one, yeah, I don't know, but. If the building itself is doing anything important to the electrical there,
Right,
or just holding it up.
I guess it's just holding it up,
So maybe it's not a big deal to remove it.
right,
Do we want essentially a replica, just a new built one, or?
I think it might have to be the same footprint, just because that area is built for that
For
size
that.
building, I don't wanna build it smaller,
Do we wanna have it, so it might be able to be insulated?
yeah,
Yeah, that's what I would think,
yeah,
and then they can just get a little heater or something. That'd be decent.
Be toasty, yeah,
I mean, Earl might be able to do all of that
right, yeah.
with some, just
Yeah,
some plywood on the
You might be
materials.
able to put something right in,
Yeah.
or spray it or something.
Right,
Sometime in the next couple of weeks, we should
Yeah.
take some measurements for it. And we have some sort of funding for this.
no. Well, we got that extra 200,000,
I'm sure we can.
All right, let's do it.
Depending on how much,
Yeah,
you
that
know,
hurts.
like, go
Right.
crazy or
Yeah,
anything, but,
$20,000.
you know, I'm sure we can. I can find something for us. We had talked about at one time, health officer. And I talked to Betsy, because I know we were still waiting for Jody to kind of come up with something, but she had something that she had put together. It looks like back in 2021, just about how many calls she got on average.
isn't Betsy?
So she compiled like a little report. You know, the information in here is not current, like, obviously not current, because it was when she was you know, an officer, but it just gives you some information so that we could discuss going forward for probably if we want to increase that or make it into a seller position or what we want to do about that position going forward. So I can make 3 copies of this if you guys would
Sure.
like this to look over. But I was very appreciative for her
Good data.
piling stuff for me. That way we can just be a little more knowledgeable.
What's John Johnson? You know, look and do a, 18-month-old cheese.
Keep really sharp.
I don't know if you guys can hear me. I just have, it's Maureen Moriarty and I wanted to, just bring something up under the other business component of the agenda.
Go ahead.
I'm here representing the library. Mariah had to attend a trustees meeting. And she asked me to come and mention to you guys that, back a while ago, Lauren Ketchum had submitted or had requested bids for the work in the basement of the library. I don't know if you're all familiar with that. There's an insulation in the basement that the fire marshal says is not up to code. And because the public's allowed in the basement of the library, that it has to be changed. And I just wanted to let you know that only one bid came back from that initial request, and then the person withdrew. So right now, we're at 0 for any bids to consider for that work. Just wanted to bring you up to date on it. I know Elaine Howe has reached out to some people in town trying to see if there's any interest. And as soon as we have that information, we'll be able to share it with you. But this is really just an update to let you know that it is an ongoing concern. We do have to get the work done, but we're just having a problem identifying someone who's willing to do the work.
All right, thank you.
Is there a deadline?
Yeah.
Diane?
I'm sorry?
Is there a deadline?
I don't believe so. The fire marshal, from what, I was not there, but he did not say like, oh, as of this date, you can no longer use this space. So he was pretty casual about it, which was great.
While we've got you on the Zoom here. Can you just tell us a little bit about the library capital fund? I was just looking at the town meeting warning.
I don't know, about that. I'm sorry. I know that,
Becky's gonna give us some.
okay.
Because it's something Laura and I have talked about. There is quite a bit of money in there, just that they've had left over from previous years. That Laura would like to put aside into a capital improvement fund. But that way it could then, be put in an account, it could draw interest, it could make them some money.
Yeah.
Versus sitting in their funds doing nothing. Because we essentially make payments in our regular operating funds, so they want it to actually make money and so that it can, be built upon, they have to move it out of there.
They may be discussing that at the trustees meeting tonight. I don't know. Because we did go over some of the funds available, but that was more of the friends of the library today, not the actual library monies. But anyways, I just wanted to let you know what was going on, and as soon as we do have some bids and some sense of how much this is going to cost, we'll get that to you. All righty.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good night.
You too. Other business?
Any other business?
Oh, that a reporter from the Valley News
Oh.
called me, John. I can't think of his last name now, but anyway, it doesn't matter. But he asked about what we thought about Ryan Palmer and the County Sheriff's Department and whether we were happy or not, and I told him all in all, I thought we were, and things are looking okay, and he just asked a bunch of questions, but it wasn't just me, he was asking all the towns around and just to get an overview of Ryan.
Windsor County Sheriff.
Yeah, well, the first 2 years that Palmer has really brought this along, and he has like 32 employees now and stuff, so I think that'll be just an exclusive interview with me, it's just, I'm part of it. But I thought things were going pretty well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, in fact, if we don't hear anything, that's what makes me feel it's going good.
right. But he asked about crime, if we were worried about things, and I said, well, of course, there's just all kinds of drug stuff going on around and stuff, but it isn't like people are calling us every day complaining about it or whatever. I mean, does it feel like Robert Child or whatever?
And you're not seeing it even in the papers of just
Right,
constant, drug related crime
Right.
break-ins and.
well, like over in the other side of town, not where you live, but the other side of town. Where was it there? Where they had the house
Road.
burned and, yeah, Gage Road, yeah, that was pretty treacherous for a while.
Oh, yes, yes.
Anyway, that's just so you know.
And then what's happening with administrative assistant stuff, like Mariah's? She's just gonna like archive these and at some point do
That's what
minutes.
she said she would watch them and then do her notes, but she
Right.
said this cover us on a 5-day
Right,
thing,
okay.
making it public.
So you guys know. I have a new assistant now, officially.
Obviously, all right. The one you wanted,
Yes,
Excellent.
Tara Weatherall has become my new assistant. She has started officially, DOLA, and today, and Tara, I started training her last week. I was a little worried that I wouldn't make it back from New York City. I was having
yeah,
panic attacks about whether I would make it from, NYU to the bus stop fast enough, which we did. It was fine, but I wanted to back up just in case, so.
good,
How many hours a week will she do?
She will do, we've talked about, 8 hours a week.
And Joel was doing that?
Joel is doing about 8 a month,
Okay, that's fine, computers good.
yeah, so. But we had
That'll help.
budgeted, it will be a huge. Plus, I'm also going away a lot this summer, so having someone here while I'm in Europe will be really nice.
you're going to Europe?
I am.
For town meeting.
Nice.
No, no, I will never do that again, because then I come back going, what the heck happened?
Yeah, new treasurer.
That could happen.
Right.
In February, I go with Ben and the school sponsored.
Oh, it's one of those school trip things.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and then,
So where are you going?
we're going to London,
Yeah,
Paris, Florence, and Rome.
holy smoke,
I'm super
I
excited.
guess so.
And then in June, I go to Iceland with Alex for his
Wow.
graduation gift.
Mhm.
And I still have to go Syracuse with Alex for another audition, and then
You have a tractor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good, eh?
drive it home.
Come on, Mama.
well, he is a licensed driver.
He goes fast. too.
Yeah. So here,
Sometimes. Yeah,
What's the school out there?
Syracuse.
It has its dramatic arts.
It does. It has a very highly.
Hmm.
So Syracuse pays And the last two. We haven't heard from Pace, so maybe we won't need to worry about Pace, I don't know.
Where's Page, Jar?
In the financial
Oh, right.
district. I think that's kind of what it started as, a financial lodge, but it hasn't, a very decent.
Dramatic.
Dramatic.
Venture capitalist.
It's an easy transition.
Yeah.
But yeah, so. That's my exciting news,
Good.
That'd be good to have somebody holding down the fort while you're there.
but, I need you.
She has a ton of accounting experience.
Yeah, MBA. I was when I was like, "Woo-hoo." And she's done a whole lot. You know, just fund counting so that she could be up for the school,
Right.
and so she's. Yeah, she's gonna take a lot off my plate. Already, she's like, why don't we do this? And I was like, that's genius. Yes, let's do that. I just need you guys to formally accept her so that I can have her be a signer on me.
We need a motion,
Yes.
it's up to you,
What's your name?
Tara Weatherall,
Weatherall.
yeah.
I make a motion to please Chair Weatherall to be assistant treasurer to the town of Tunbridge.
Is it, do we appoint her or do we just approve what's fine? Cause you hire her.
I hire her, so I think
Sounds good.
you guys,
I second.
All right,
but I need your approval.
Right.
all in favor, say aye. Aye.
So that I can take the minutes of the meeting and go.
Yeah.
She unofficial. All right.
All right, we're gonna sign the orders. Get out of here.
Okay. One of these is gonna look a little weird because a lot of people have 2 checks.
Been a long time since we were here last.
I know. So this one looks a little weird because some people have 2 checks and that's because one of those checks is their Christmas bonus.
Oh, $100.
And I worked really hard to make sure that everybody had $100
Yep.
at least. And that was tricky because some people get more in withholding than I remembered, so
Oh,
that had to avoid a lot of checks and start over.
huh, I never thought about that.
I did not either when I started that process. I went, I'm good. Why is Mary Ann getting $75? What happened there?
Is there a better way to do it for next year?
Well, now that
Especially
I've
your
Turkey,
done it,
$100 turkey.
I have it figured out, but
Okay.
I had to figure out all the people that have extra withholding.
Right.
Right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you. Dollar.
Was that enough? All right. All right.
Oh, want to just shut that thing off?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Last question. If the next few days, if you guys think of things throughout the year or the year ahead that you want in the town report. let me
Yeah.
know.
One of them, well, I brought the thing about the gravel up, I think people could know that we're trying to strategizing, we're trying to figure out ways to spend our money wisely and
Right.
get more bang for our buck and not find ourselves spending $500,000 a year on gravel and having it be mud seasons all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
well, so depending on
Right,
quarterly, too.
quarters, I think would be really handy, just because things that happened last January, we can't forget about.
Right, and the minutes, they were that way.
Right.
Right.
The ongoing stuff.
And this is what we need.
Weekend.
Thank you.
One-handed paper hanger
He's
at the computer.
doing it, 1.5 hands.
Fingers are moving along.
I saw James Bourne recently, and, well,
Who?
James McGuire, I mean,
Oh, right,
His middle name's Bowen, and it's like this,
Bowen?
Yeah.
Oh.
his nickname is Bo.